NC State football fans anxiously waited and finally got the news they had been waiting for. NC State is heading to the Pop-Tarts Bowl in Orlando. Crazy good.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Wolfpack, free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. Happy Monday. I'm just going to go ahead and declare this a Victory Monday because of the bowl that we were selected to. Happy Victory Monday. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. NC State football is selected to the Pop-Tarts Bowl in Orlando, matched up with the Kansas State Wildcats, December 28th. I am overjoyed as this was my top pick for bowls to be selected to. Kenton, let me hear your thoughts.
You know, they say that a program takes on the temperament of its head coach, and I want to extend that out. I want to say that the media covering the team takes on the temperament of its head coach. And with that in mind, baby, I want bourbon and brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts for everyone. We are going to Orlando, folks. And I'm going to tell you what, this game to me is a moment for NC State to really step up on the national stage and show that, like, hey, we belong. This isn't about a weak ACC. This isn't about what the ACC is or is not. And I'm going to tell you this much. The ACC needs to go into this bowl season with something to prove.
Yes.
The ACC needs to go into this bowl season here. If you have a year of eligibility left, if you're not a first-round guy, maybe even second-round guy, your behind needs to be playing in these games. If you coming back, let me tell you something. If I was a team in this conference, I would make it clear, leave no doubt. Leave no doubt. I don't care who they not playing, who they got playing. Leave no doubt that you are so much better than that team across from you, it's not even funny. Because with what we just saw with Florida State, I have got to say, if I'm a team in this conference, I want to make it clear right now and the beginning of the season, next year out of conference, we one of them ones. We are not like y'all, and y'all are not like us. We are different, brother, because this is what we just saw is insanity, and it's not even from the standpoint of like, oh, I cover all of the ACC, so I have to feel this way. No. If you're a team in the ACC, you legitimately have to look at this and understand what just happened with the playoffs. Next year, the conference alignment is changing, and what just happened with this year's playoffs? 2 Big Ten teams and 2 SEC teams got in. Nobody else. So if I'm NC State, I'm going in. I don't give a damn if they gave me the gravel and dirt bowl, the Omaha, Nebraska gravel and dirt bowl. I don't care if they gave me the Iowa Cornhusker Field of Dream bowl. I don't care what bowl I got. Don't care about it. I'm on a mission. I'm out for blood to show like, oh, y'all don't think we're good. And there's going to be a lot of teams that are unnecessary underdogs, which we've already seen. NC State's under-over on wins this year was 6.5. Listen, it's up. Nobody believes in you. Nobody thinks you can do it. It's up. It's up. Kansas State, every quarterback they got darn near has entered the portal. And guess what? I'm willing to bet my left arm that we are not going to be favored by double digits.
No.
Even though the committee just said that losing the quarterback means that you're a totally different team, I'm willing to bet. Vegas ain't going to say that for NC State and the team they're playing. So with that in mind, leave no doubt from start to finish.
Yeah, we're going to have a little bit of a bigger discussion here in just a minute about what happened to Florida State and who was involved. But I care about what bowl game we got. I wanted the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I knew that this would be a primetime matchup. I mentioned last week in one of our episodes that the cool bowl effect, having a bowl with a cool name, I think it's a very real thing. And so for NC State to get this cool bowl against a ranked team in Kansas State, now I understand they have a lot of big portal losses. We'll touch on that here in the coming weeks, but this is a ranked matchup. It's going to be a marquee matchup of that day. NC State 9-3. We talked about the importance of getting this far in recruiting, potentially getting a 10th win. I think this was the perfect storm of details for NC State to get into this bowl game in particular. And obviously, when we were all waiting to hear what would happen, we saw that NC State had requested the Pop-Tarts Bowl if it came down to that. And ultimately, that's what happened. To see everything transpire on the Twitter timeline, we thought that we'd probably get slated into the Gator Bowl with a little bit of a reunion against Devin Leary. I wanted no part of that. I just not interested. NC State's played in the Gator Bowl, I think, 2 out of the last 5 or so years. Yeah. Give me something else. I want something else. And respectfully, I don't want to see Devin Leary again. So glad we avoided that one. We're also linked to the Rely Quest Bowl, I believe. Didn't get that one. That was announced earlier. Then there was a holding pattern for ACC teams. That was a little bit of a disaster.
Conference-wide disaster class, ladies and gentlemen. Conference-wide disaster. Well, really, it was more so on the bowl committees and whatnot in their disaster class, but it just so happened to be that the ACC was on the receiving end of said disaster class.
I think this was the absolute best scenario for NC State to find themselves in. It's a fun bowl against a good ranked opponent. It'll be on a national stage. Everything you could possibly want is in this bowl. And I know some folks are probably still disappointed that we didn't get into the Orange Bowl. Obviously, that was not a reality for us. I'm overjoyed with the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I could not be happier about this.
Yeah, I mean, and let me not, because I'm saying it doesn't matter what bowl you're in, NC State needs to take somebody to Pound Town. It doesn't mean that I'm absolutely saying like, I don't care about the Pop-Tart Bowl and all that good stuff. Listen, from the standpoint of for the players and for the fun and all that good stuff, people deserve these things, right? The players they have worked hard. They have earned a really good bowl game. Peyton Wilson has earned a really good send-off. Brendan Armstrong has earned that. This team as a whole has earned that. And so with that being said, I'm excited that they got to go somewhere cool. You know what I mean? I'm excited that they're not with all due respect, I'm excited that they're not headed to like the Gasparilla Bowl or something like that. Like, with all due respect,
or the Mayo Bowl, wink, wink.
Yeah, apparently they have they've upped their pre-bowl activities this year, which last year was 0. So I mean, there's nowhere to go but up.
Yeah, but don't care.
But I'm very excited for this team, and what an opportunity! 10 wins is staring you in the face. It's looking you in the face. Go get number 10, young men. Enjoy your time. Have fun. Delve in all activity. Trust me, I went to a few bowl games when I was playing for state as well. It was always a great time. Always a great time. But with that being said, you got a job to do. Yeah, you can have fun and all that. It's a business trip, boys. Take care of business on the trip.
We talked a little bit last week. It was kind of the give and take between, do you want a perceived easier opponent so you could get to 10 wins, or would you like a harder opponent, or maybe like a New Year's Six Bowl? I think this Pop-Tarts Bowl is a little bit of a combination of the two. Kansas State is a very good team. They had a good season in the Big 12. And again, they're going to be missing some pieces. They're still a good team. This is going to be a tough game. And so 10 wins is very much on the table. And we are in a national spotlight. So like I mentioned, I'm not sure this could have worked out any better for the Wolfpack. So I am over the moon excited for this opportunity.
Same here. Could not agree more. This is a situation where, like you said, it's the best of both worlds in a lot of regards. You have a ranked opponent that you're coming in with, and not only are you playing a ranked opponent, it's one of those post-Christmas bowls as well, because Lord knows, if you get a bowl before Christmas, yeesh, a little tough. So it's a good bowl, great opportunity. This team needs to go take advantage.
Up next, we'll be talking about our athletic director and Boo Corrigan and his involvement with the College Football Playoff Selection Committee and what went down on Sunday with the exclusion of Florida State and how that impacts NC State and the rest of the ACC as well. Our first sponsor of the day is LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to have as many top-tier candidates as possible to interview. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. Hiring is easier when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within just 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. So thankfully, with LinkedIn, the process is intuitive, quick, and easy. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, we're back here. We're going to spend some time discussing our athletic director in Boo Corrigan. Of course, he is the chairman of the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. He was tasked with handling the bad news for Florida State on Sunday. And then, of course, Twitter went up in flames about like you'd expect it to. Now, Kenton, you were at the ACC championship game covering for Locked On ACC. So give me your first initial thoughts here about Florida State getting left out.
You know, it's a sin and a shame. It really is. It's a travesty. It's just a joke of a moment because, I mean, objectively speaking, we have seen this Florida State team be really good all year, and for them to get left out, you know, I tell people all the time, the same thing that'll make you laugh will make you cry. And you know, don't laugh too hard when somebody else is getting a raw deal, because especially in a situation like this, because it's only so long until it's your turn to be on the receiving end of that. But very seriously, watching that team Saturday, I saw a very good team that lacked a solid quarterback.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. And the thing that I don't think is fair is that the last impression the voters got before they went in to the committee got before they went in to do their selection and who belonged where, the reality is the last thing they saw was a true freshman and third stringer who was not going to be the guy in terms of the bowl game. And so that is a team that defensively, fast, physical, big, everywhere. I mean, there is not a single position where they don't meet those criteria. Fast, physical, big. Well coached as well, you know, up front. I think that's one of the best defensive lines I've seen in person in quite some time. And I love NC State's defensive line, absolutely. I think that we're right in there in that same category. But they had an interior defensive lineman with 3 sacks. And they have a guy that is going to be in the green room for a very short amount of time. How short of an amount of time? He's going to be in that green room shorter than my hair. For those of you who don't know, I'm bald. He's going to be in there for no time at all. Maybe the first ACC player or first defensive player off the board in Jared Verse. So this is the situation where, you know, watching that Florida State team in person, they're the real deal. I mean, you know, Keon Coleman struggled all night long, and they still found ways to generate offense outside of that. Louisville has an extremely stingy defense in their own right, and they kind of just found ways to generate offense. I just can't see a world where they get penalized for finding ways to win, but looks like that happened.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely sucks for Florida State. And I don't even like Florida State that much, but I feel for them, and they have every right to be upset, angry, the whole 9 yards. If this were NC State in this situation, I would never shut up about it. Ever.
If this was NC State, I'm outside Boo Corrigan house. Say, come outside. We not going to jump you, Boo. Come outside. We just want to talk, Boo. We're live. Grayson and I will do no talking. It's going to be put your hands up, old man, and there's going to be some elderly abuse going on. We take elderly abuse seriously here, but he will get whooped on if it was NC State getting left out after going undefeated. Just saying.
There'd be no end to this if this were NC State. Our fan base as well. This would never, ever.
And rightfully so. I mean, the history shows that up until this point, if you are an undefeated Power 5 champion, you have a 100% chance of getting into the college football playoff. The voters got a last impression that I think was like, it's like if your friend takes a picture of you while you're like moving and talking to somebody else and then saying, hey, my homeboy want to talk to you. And that's the picture they show. Like, of course you're not going to get the digits. Of course they're not going to want to talk to you if you're stuck in a freeze frame alert. You know, you look crazy. That's just what happened here. And Florida State got caught with a bad freeze frame, which I think is really unfair to them.
Yeah. So the tough part about this for me, and this is probably where I'm going to get yelled at by a lot of y'all. I think the committee got it right. But I'll say this because the system is flawed. The games, they should matter. They're 13-0. They won the ACC championship. And like you mentioned, a team with that resume never gets left out of the college football playoff because it's never happened before. And they shouldn't, quite frankly. But where I stand on this is if they are tasked with choosing the best 4 teams, I don't think that Florida State is one of them. And that's just the reality of the situation. I think if you watch that Alabama-Georgia game, that was basically a college football playoff game. If I were on the committee, I think I would have Alabama and Georgia in the college football playoff. And you'd have to boot somebody, which is a whole nother conversation. But I understand the schedule is supposed to matter, and I hate it for Florida State. I honestly, when I saw Jordan Travis tweet on Sunday, I felt horrible for him. The fact that he had to say, I wish I broke my leg sooner is so like, that's terrible. And my heart goes out to Jordan Travis. I feel terrible for Florida State. But I think the committee got it right. I think both are true.
Rare Grayson Boone L. Very rare Grayson Boone L.
Fine.
L Riz, no W Riz for this guy. L Riz on Grayson Boone. This is terrible for this reason. Here's my whole thing about this. How do you determine who the best 4 are? Because that was the same argument that was used against TCU. Oh, Bama's better than them. It doesn't matter if they're a one-loss team. Bama's better. Bama's better. Bama belongs. And then TCU had no shot of beating Michigan. No, TCU can't beat the mighty Michigan Wolverines. Michigan has rolled over everybody that's in front of them. They finally slayed the dragon. They're defeating Ryan Day like it's nothing. There's nothing you can do to stop the boys in the winged helmet. And then Max Duggan and Quentin Johnston and a few other guys over there in those purple and black uniforms found a way. It's a very sad situation to me, only because when you get into the conversation of who's the best team, based on what? Based on what?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically it's all objective, and you're playing in purely hypotheticals at this point. But I just, you talked about Florida State's defense. Probably their best performance of the year was against Louisville in that ACC championship. Yeah. That was a college football playoff defense. That absolutely was. And my problem is just
but that's the problem for me though. The narrative building around this thing, the problem, because if those jerseys are switched and the exact same caliber of game is played, if you switch those jerseys and put a LSU jersey on Louisville and put a Bama jersey on FSU, all of a sudden it's the defense of the century. Yeah,
I mean, you're right. You're right.
They've got multiple guys on that defense that are going to get drafted. A guy that's going in the first round. I'm going to say this. I've talked to scouts about, what they think about that Florida State defense and all that. So obviously we know where Jared Verse is going. There are multiple guys on that defense that they too are probably going to hear their name called.
Yeah.
You're looking at a situation where because it is the ACC, it's, this is terrible football. Oh, this team isn't worthy of being there. My brothers and sisters in Christ, we had to watch Iowa play football. And y'all act like this is the worst team that you all saw. The committee keeps getting it wrong. And that to me, again, you cannot punish a team for having an injury situation in one game. This was an extraordinary injury situation that's not permanent. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to lie to you. I would be much more understanding of the committee's choice if it was a guarantee that Glenn was going to be starting in the CFP. I would be much more understanding because, hey, the way that Glenn looked, a month of ball is not going to get you ready for Michigan. A month of practice ain't going to get you ready for Georgia, Texas, Bama. It just wouldn't. However, Rodemaker did not look terrible at all against Florida. The Swamp is whether Florida is good, bad, ugly, indifferent, the Swamp is one of the most difficult places to play. And that offense was moving. For them to get put out, again, the games have to matter. It's supposed to be you're comparing injury situations when two teams have comparable resumes. Nobody else was comparable. Nobody else was undefeated. Nobody. That's it. That's the whole argument for me. This team beat everybody who was in front of them. And now if we're penalizing teams for having injuries at that point in time, there are two things that you're telling me. Beating good teams early does not matter, and having your players healthy is more important than anything. So the minute that a game is put away, or if it's senior night and you've got North Alabama or somebody like that, don't play your seniors for like 3 snaps and then go let your young guys beat the dog snot out of them. Because if you play your stars and have the opportunity of one of them to get injured, congratulations, you effectively ruined your year.
These are all valid points because I do think the game should matter. Like do I think Florida State should be in? Yes, they absolutely deserve to be in. But the way that this is set up, it simply just doesn't honor that. And that's a bigger flaw in the system. But yeah, I mean, I feel terrible for Florida State. So the bigger part of this conversation, at least for NC State relation, is Boo Corrigan. And of course, being the chairman of this committee, I think, I mean, he got dragged through the mud all day on Sunday. And however you feel about him, I'm going to go a little bit to bat for him here because I think he's more of the mouthpiece for the committee. It wasn't just him sitting in a room and telling everyone else, so we're leaving Florida State out, right? Okay, got it. Good. Here we go. That's not it. So the College Football Playoff Committee, of course, is 13 members. Boo Corrigan, he doesn't have the most power. He's just the chairman. He sort of oversees all of it and then has to speak for the group. Do I think that he probably voted for Florida State? Yeah, I think he probably did because he has interest in how the ACC works out of this. So online, Boo Corrigan needs to be cut a little bit of slack here. I know some UNC fans were parading that Corrigan has destroyed the ACC. There it goes. There it went. That's not at all the truth. Like, not even close. Leave that behind because that's not what happened on Sunday. I think Corrigan probably voted for Florida State. Again, the system is flawed here. And he just had to be the speaker of the group who ultimately left Florida State out. So it's kind of funny that NC State has such a NC State in part has a vital role in this with Corrigan being the chair of the committee, but don't paint this like NC State has just blown up the conference because I don't see that being the truth at all.
After this year, Grayson, the playoff is expanding. How many teams?
12.
12. Okay, so where's Florida State ranked right now?
Currently 5.
Currently 5. Okay, now Grayson, I'm not great with math, and I know you do logistics, so I need you to help me out here. Okay, if they take the top 12 teams, right? Which now that's a format that I also disagree with, but that's another story for another time. If they take the top 12 teams, 5 is inside of 12, correct? Like 5 is in that. Right. Carry
the 1. Yeah. Yes, it is.
Okay, you sure? You sure you didn't? All right, so Grayson and I, our math is pretty solid here. They would have gotten in if this was the 12. And also, you know who got off the hook in all this? The SEC.
Always?
Sankey is the reason why we do not have a 12-team playoff this year. This is how the ACC gets treated. It's a sham and a shame, and I'll tell you this much. Moments like this tell me why I haven't been put on like committees like this and all that good stuff, because I'm not going to lie to you, okay? Denzel Washington is one of my favorite actors, and I would have went full John Q if they would have said, hey, we're leaving the team for your conference, the undefeated champ, out. We are not leaving this room because I'm not going to explain to everybody out there, hey, we had to leave the team from my conference out that was an undefeated champion that just won their conference, that just won our conference championship by double digits. We're going to have to leave that team out based on what y'all think about a third-string quarterback that very likely is never going to see the field again for the rest of this football season. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm not. Either one of y'all going to have to explain that to the world, or we're going to stay in here till we figure out a way to get them in. That's just what we're going to do here. So, you know, it's a sin and a shame, but at the end of the day, to put the blame at Boo Corrigan's feet, he is one vote of many. This was a democracy, not a boo-tatorship. Boo-tatorship is just a terrible name. But anyway, it's a democracy where everybody gets a vote, not that. And so, you know, that's the reality of what we saw in terms of this vote.
Boo Corrigan, I hate it had to be him. Just a shame. It's a tough look, but somebody had to do it. Up next, it's Monday, of course, so the transfer portal is now open for business. We're going to be talking about a couple of things that we saw over the weekend. Our second sponsor of the day is FanDuel. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers on FanDuel stay hot. Right now, new customers can get $150 back in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. And if you bet on NC State's over to hit at 6.5 wins, you might have used that money to buy a couch. I did. Thank you, NC State football. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and continue winning this NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. Last couple minutes here on Monday. Of course, it is Monday. The transfer portal is open for business. NC State has already had 15 of our own enter the transfer portal, I believe, since we've last spoken. Lyndon Cooper entered the portal on Friday, and Terrell Timmons entered the portal on Friday, bringing the total up to 15. We also saw on Friday that NC State had scheduled an in-home visit with Coastal Carolina's quarterback in Grayson McCall. Now, this was interesting. Hand up, the two of us said last weekend in discussing the potential of Grayson McCall that we weren't sure about how good of a program fit it would be. I guess we'll find out pretty quickly if the coaches are already scheduling an in-home visit with him. So I've also heard whispers that NC State has shown some interest in Kansas State quarterback Will Howard, which would be interesting because now we're paired up with Kansas State in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. But, of course, NC State will more than likely have a couple other names hit the portal here on Monday and probably through the rest of the week. Kenton, what are your biggest things to watch out for NC State now that the portal is officially open?
We need 2 quarterbacks. We need 2. And, this, in the words of Nelly, give me 2 per. I need 2 per. That's something that's necessary here for quarterbacks, but also for the receiver room as well, right? We need something to get going in the receiver room in terms of we're losing a lot of guys that were, figured to be big factors next year. And it kind of leaves you in a moment where you're looking at this team, you're looking at this roster, and you're saying, okay, where do we need guys? And I will probably say the biggest places where we have holes at this current moment, probably we need to fill some holes at linebacker. We need to fill, obviously, the biggest void, which is going to be left at quarterback. And we need some offensive line depth. I mean, even with whether or not Cooper had stayed or going, you still were going to need more O-line depth because big guys, it's a violent game. It's a violent game on the inside, and counting on 5, 6, 7, even 8 guys to get the job done over the course of an entire season is a bad bet. It's a real bad bet. So, the receiver room, of course, we talked about that ad nauseum in terms of there needed to be an infusion of talent. And I'm going to tell you what, the same way we talk about we got quarterback snaps for sale, receiver snaps.
Yes.
We got some receptions for sale. We got some, come on now, outside receivers. If you look at what all we have leaving in that regard, you've got a lot of receptions available. A lot of receptions available here. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm looking for, we need to get a lot better in the quarterback room right away. And not just, I don't want to have one guy to the point where we're one play away. And this is with all due respect to the young man. If he proves himself, wins the quarterback battle, becomes QB1 or QB2, let's let Lex Thomas cook. Let's let him rock out. But at this very moment, I don't feel comfortable saying like, hey, going into next season, I'm cool with one quarterback, Lex Thomas, Ethan Rhodes is our quarterback depth chart. I'm not necessarily, geeked up about that per se.
Yeah, I sincerely hope that Thayer Thomas does not come after us for saying that I'm not sure Lex Thomas will be the guy here at NC State. We know not to ever doubt a Thomas.
But if we're proved wrong, I'd be happy. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, my God, no, I can't believe it. He playing in the red and white. If he goes out there and has a missed success, like I said, if he wins the QB battle, if he shows he's ready and he can do it, if he shows up and he's ready and he can do the thing and he can ball, hey, I ain't mad at you.
If he's strong, then we strong then.
We strong then, okay? Let's go eat a W.
It goes without saying that the quarterback position is our biggest area to focus on. Then after that, I'd go after offensive linemen. I saw that we scheduled an in-home visit with a transfer from Notre Dame, their center, Zeke Correll, I believe his name is, rated the number 3 overall interior offensive lineman in the portal. So that could be potentially a very large get for NC State. They're able to land him. And then, like you mentioned, we got a whole lot of receptions to be filled here at NC State. Somebody else is going to have to play alongside KC Concepcion. And we talked about the place that NC State has now put themselves into entering bowl season. Such an attractive spot for not only the quarterback position, but also wide receiver positions, because we're going to get a proven guy at the quarterback. You can come play alongside one of the best wide receivers in the country this year, because he was in Concepcion. And this offense under Robert and I, when we get all the pieces we need, we're going to be scary. We are going to be terrifying. I promise you that. We're going to be terrifying. So I think offensively is probably my biggest focus in the portal here. But like you mentioned, we're probably going to need some help at linebacker. Probably going to have to take another defensive lineman or two, depending on how that shakes out. Probably a couple depth pieces in the secondary. But yes, of course, the biggest focus will be offensively here in the portal. So with NC State, I saw, a lot of folks were commenting in some of our tweets last week when we talked about McCall. NC State is kind of walking a fine line here in that you want to wait to see who else enters the portal, but you're also on the clock. Everyone is looking at these players entering the portal. And so if they're getting good deals from the other schools and they take it, well, you just lost your opportunity at potentially a program-changing player. So NC State needs to go into this portal and be aggressive. Find what you need and go get it. There is not barely any time to wait on this. And so I want to see NC State get in there and get it done now that it's officially open for business. And something else I'll be focused on is the amount of homegrown guys that are a possibility. We saw that Tamarcus Cooley from Maryland entered the portal. Wesley Grimes from Wake Forest entered the portal. Mitchell Mays from Clemson entered the portal. All guys from around this neck of the woods. Can NC State bring some folks back home and continue to build this fence around the state of North Carolina? That will be something to watch. And wink, wink, nudge, nudge. There are some other ones that have been some whispers. We'll see. We'll see. A lot to be potentially excited about as portal season is now here. Buckle up. It's going to get wild.
Yeah. And, as the old song goes, I got what you like. You got what I need. And we were made for each other. We talked about an outside receiver, need an outside receiver. There's some outside receivers that are also from the area.
Come on now.
Hey, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? The quarterback position where we talk about needing a guy who potentially could have, a couple years, maybe 3 years left, Hey, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, hey, come on. Let's have some reunions in this thing, okay?
Y'all see what we're doing in Raleigh.
In the words of Peaches and Cream, reunited and it feels so good. Reunited, and I knew it would. Some of y'all need to come on back. Come on back.
That'll do it for us here on Monday. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in with us. Be sure to hit that like button. Drop your comments in the comment box. Let us know what you think about portal season opening up. Let us know what you think about Boo Corrigan's decision as chairman of the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. And let us know what you think about NC State going to Orlando and matching up with Kansas State in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Let us know what you think. As always, mash that subscribe button. Our subscriber numbers continue to blow up. I continue to not understand where this is all coming from, but we could not be more grateful for all the support. Thank you all so much. Wolfpack Nation or no nation, stamp that right there. We will see you all tomorrow. Until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.